Yeah, so tell me what you were just saying about like trying to, like you don't have enough time because you're a plant, you got to set up and tear down every week. It's hard to dial things in.
It is, yeah. So that's the challenge we usually face is, I mean, we had to have a separate session at Pastor Chris's house to organize our cases and get things optimized so that we could set up quickly and tear down quickly and be able to find things.
Well, but you've succeeded. I mean, it's been less than an hour.
Yeah.
And you're like ready to go.
We practiced quite a bit, and the first time we set it up, nothing worked, and we just had to roll with it and be patient, and it eventually, the second time we set up, everything was getting dialed in, and then we just optimized it over the time to make things quick. We keep cables wrapped, organized, we just don't throw them in a drawer. We have individual drawers for each item on our backstage rack. So we've got all our Ethernet cables in one location, we got all our 1/4-inch cables in one drawer, we've got all our XLR mic cables in one place.
Is all that organization you or somebody else on the team?
It was a mix. I mean, the team had I bring a little bit of sound experience into the church, but the team had some really good ideas as far as labeling cables and things like that have really helped us optimize the setup. But back to what I was saying, it's like the challenge we have is because we use this gym space and we come in, we set up, we do a service, then we'll talk to people for a while, but then we got to tear down and pack up the trailer again. So we don't have time to really optimize the sound system like would be best for the room. But just over the year in working with it weekly, we've gotten it pretty tailored that it sounds pretty good. But it's kind of disruptive to run the room profiling system of that DVX drive rack because it does all these weird outer space sounds and everything.
But it's so nice because then I've always found that with setups that have to be quick, the things that usually then drop is you start to introduce things like feedback that just gets super distracting when you're in a church environment, where it's really important for people to hear what is happening. It's one of the most important things that's happening.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
So, and that's the biggest. You mentioned feedback, and it's there's a little bit of training you have to do for people with announcement mics, walking in front of the speakers.
Please hold the microphone here. Yeah. Not here.
Exactly.
Please, right here.
And don't walk right in front of the speaker with the microphone on, because that will cause feedback. So
that's not the Holy Spirit moving people. That's just.
But yeah, it's everyone. Everyone's been really receptive and done a great job.
But how many volunteers do you guys have now?
That's a good question. I would say probably about 20.
Which is like a fifth of the church, right?
Yeah. We
cool.
we do pretty good. I mean, certain areas of the church we have, a really strong group of many volunteers. Other areas, production tends to be an area that I think is a little bit intimidating to people, and some of it is not understanding everything that you're setting up and what you're doing, and it's hard to make guides for that stuff. That's one thing I've struggled with.
Be on the lookout, because that is exactly what we're building in Midwood Road, 4 churches just like this, so it's coming soon.
So yeah, it's trying to encourage people to and give them, what I found works is giving them a specific task that they can be good at and know how to do every week, instead of the overwhelming setting up the whole sound system.
Well, there's just such a high ceiling. There's always something else that you could learn, something else that could be better, and most of the things that you do learn from online typically are guys who are so good at what they do that it's hard for them to kind of come down to this level.
Yeah, to step down, because it's I gotta set this up. I gotta get this up by 9 o'clock. So,
and no matter what, we start at 10 o'clock, right?
Yeah,
at 10. So we're starting at 10 a.m. no matter what happens, no matter what's working or not working. So
so it's been good. I mean, but I guess the takeaway is, production's been kind of a challenging area to get more volunteers and more people engaged. So anything you can do to help people get plugged into production and learn a specific area would be really good. Don't lose track of that, because it's hard. It's an area that needs to be right and set up for the service to be successful, but at the same time, it's an intimidating area for people to get plugged into. And like I mentioned, it's tough to write guides. You can write a guide on how to plug a speaker in and put it on the stand and that stuff, and that's fine. But how you troubleshoot an issue with a mix, when you have to do that very quickly and get something under control, that's something that you just have to learn through shadowing someone who knows what they're doing.
I love this. This guy is saying everything that I've said for the last 5 years about how to train volunteers. This is very rewarding for me as a business owner who is trying to service churches like this. I'm building that exact thing that you're talking about, and it comes from one guy with another guy, or girl. It comes from collaborative learning.
Yeah.
And it comes from there's some things that you need to learn, especially with sound, because sound it's both an art and a science.
Yeah.
So it takes experience, but it takes learning specific skill sets that build on each other.
Exactly.
You start by eating, how do you eat a cow? You start on one end and you go all the way to the other, so.
Troubleshooting is a huge thing. We had an issue once where our whole sound system was cutting out unexpectedly at random places in our service one week. And your first instinct is, what's wrong with the mix on the board? What's going on with the board? Is the mic not, is there something wrong with the microphone? What it ended up being was our DBX speaker processor, because we were loading it and unloading it, the power cable had started to work out.
Just a little loose.
So the power cable during the sound vibrations would come out and it was cutting out, and it's that's just one of those.
That's one of those things that you have as a church plant that we never had. I was creative director at a church of 1,000 for 8 years, and so our cables didn't move nearly as much.
So now we've just added that into one of our checks.
Yes.
When we set up, we just go through and we make sure all the cables are plugged in the back as we're plugging the new ones in. And that, we haven't had that issue since. But
good job, man. Hey, good job, brother. Thanks so much for your service.
Sure.